We're sticking with the employer branding theme for this one, and the inspiration for this next debate comes from a 2022 article by Kat Kibben. So here's part of what she wrote. You can find thousands of articles that will tell you to create an EVP, an employee value proposition, and develop a strong employer brand, as if you can set that as the agenda item on Monday, and by Friday have some kind of result that might help you with jobs you need filled right now. As if determining what makes you special and applying that to a series of campaigns is easy to do. Newsflash, it's not. The other challenge? Everyone assumes that having an employer brand will inherently make you stand out. But in reality, every organization sounds the same. In one too many cases, it's because the branding actually is the same. Case in point, just a few years ago, I had interns go to the Fortune 100 websites and pull down the phrasing of the values and EVP pages. For a bunch of employers that say they're standing out, they sure did sound the same. Over half of the companies we reviewed actually use the exact same vocabulary and phrases. Worse, some even use the same stock photography. Consumers of work are thinking, there's nothing different about this organization, all while these enormous companies with even bigger budgets think they're standing out and building candidate preferences for their workplaces. And so this all brings us to the second statement of today. Everyone assumes that having an employer brand will make you stand out, but in reality, every organization sounds the same. All right. Yasmina, I'm going to start with you for this second one. Do you vote yes or do you vote no on this one?
It's heartbreaking, but I vote yes, unfortunately.
Okay. Tom, what do you vote?
A small yes, I'm going to give. I'm partially agree, but it tends more to the yes than to the no. Yeah.
All right, it's a yes, but then let's say.
Yeah.
Okay, Yasmina, starting with you. I mean, we touched on this a little bit in the first debate as well, of course, but yes, please, I would like to hear more of you.
I do agree that a lot of employer brands, they sound the same, they look the same, they feel the same. Nobody's really creating any difference, which is a shame. But what's really worse is having no employer brand at all. Like you're just gray and nobody really knows what you stand for. So I think I really agree with Kat's point of view and her depiction of how the landscape is, which actually brings me back to my previous point about employer branding and involving the employees in the EVP process. I think the problem is not really employer branding or doing the actual EVPs. The problem is that a lot of companies, when they work with employer branding and creating EVPs and values and combining it with the commercial brand, is that they only scratch the surface. It's basically like, oh, we have this handful of values and we're going to post them on the website, and then we're probably going to do a video and then take a lot of photos and then we're done. But actually, I think that they forget to go deeper. They forget to ask how or why. They forget to really come to the essence of what makes the employer brand for the employees that are being asked. So I think she has this point where she says, I'm just going to read it. You don't just need to know the key values, you need to know the scenario in which people apply, then apply that to the candidate experience for your population. And I think that says a lot about what I'm trying to say, is that you need to go way beyond just scratching the surface. You need to put the values in a scenario that makes sense for the given employee that you're trying to recruit or retain. I think you need to put it in a perspective that actually answers the question, what's in it for me from the candidate point of view, and how will this apply to the life and the professional life that I'm trying to lead. So yeah, I unfortunately agree with Kat's statement.
Okay, thank you very much. Tom?
I do agree, but there is a but, because there are companies that doing okay. There are companies that have a very good employer brand and that are standing out. But what it takes, I think what it takes is somebody or a company that helps them, like an external company like yours, Yasmina, that dares to be bold. And a lot of HR departments because employer branding is usually part of HR, trying to keep all options open. So when they have a nice statement that everybody can relate to, then they're scoring very good on diversity and inclusion. Then they're transparent and honest to everybody. And everybody in the War of Talent is welcome to join. But by doing that and looking with 30 people to one sentence, to one EVP or to one purpose, the same is applicable for a purpose, then it becomes marketized. Then it becomes a compromis. Everybody agrees, but nobody relates.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the thing that's happening. And then you need somebody bold. At my company, I was the bold one that said, no, we're going to do it that way. Or you need an external party to help you and to question the status quo. But I do believe that there are three major audiences for an employer brand. Of course, there's the organization, and a lot of organizations only focus on that point. This is a story that we like to tell. Everybody is welcome. Everybody agrees. Then you have the employees who are not going to be scripted, like we already found out the last debate. They want to tell their story. They want to tell something. And then there is a candidate, and that's what you said, Yasmina, who has certain questions. Who wants to know certain stuff about a company to decide if he or she is going to work there. So employer branding for me is being authentic, of course, but finding that sweet spot where those three audiences touch each other, where you can send a message that the organization agrees on, the people love to tell, and the candidates want to hear. And that's the difficult sweet spot that we have to find.
I love that, Tom. I think I just so agree with that. I think it's much harder to find a sweet spot than people think, and maybe that's why they also hire external help. But I think what's more important is whether you work internally with it or you get help from the outside. I think that you have to be curious in the process. I think that a lot of times people or the project group involving around the employer brand, I think oftentimes they try to chase statements that support what they already kind of defined. Like, we have these values, we have these statements, this is what we want it to look like and sound like, and then we're trying to chase something, a narrative from the employees that supports that. But you have to turn it around. You have to say, you have to have the open questions to the employees, because that's where the gold is hidden. You have to be curious about it and ask them why and how, and trying to get them to exemplify what it is they actually mean. Because when you keep digging, I think you will find something that's not written on your agenda. You will find something that will really define your employer brand from the employee side, and that's what makes it relatable.
Yeah, and you said a very good question that I always keep in mind. What does it mean? I think a lot of companies do not dare to ask what does it mean, or do not tell what does it really mean. They say stuff like, at our company you can be flexible. Yeah, what does it mean? What does it mean in your company? We kind of made the same mistake that we said everybody is welcome at our bank. That was kind of the statement, not in that words, but that was kind of the thing that we wanted to promote. And then people with a high hijab, I think it's called in English, came to our company and they said, "Oh, I saw people walking with a hijab. Is it okay to do here?" Because I've took it off, because I know that in every other company in the same sector, it's not okay to wear it. So you should have made that concrete for us, because we, as a certain group, would have need that really concrete statement to know what it means at your company.
Yeah, and it's also, I think that's a good example of the whole diversity and inclusion part.
On a whole other debate.
Exactly, and creating the whole sense of belonging. I think that what I also mentioned previous about candidates, actually, they seek the information. If they don't find it, they ask the questions. So a lot of times we have defined a lot of ESGs that we have. We are trying to say that we work with diversity and inclusion, but we don't really exemplify. We don't specify. We don't put statements and numbers and how we actually try to accommodate diversity and inclusion, what it actually means in the day-to-day life, what it means for people with hijab or, I don't know, hidden handicaps or whatever it can be. I think it's so important to exemplify. It's so important to say and show how you do it, and not just talk about that you do it, because it just becomes a statement that has no real value.
Yeah, I think this comes back to Yasmina, what you said earlier about it's basically just scratching the surface and it's not going any deeper than that. That is for me what this comes back down to. And something else that I really thought was spot on from this second debate was when you said, Tom, about, yes, so then we find a statement, for instance, that we all agree on, but nobody needs to. And I thought that was a really, really good observation as well.